once my coffee holds out, but I did bring a big cup, so we can take care of anything we need to do. Do want to welcome the public to this meeting. It's 9 o'clock, and this is a special call, joint meeting of the Glenn County Board of Commissioners and the City of Brunswick Commission. We're here this morning to discuss LOST, the local option sales tax, and to make introductions and to kick off this campaign for the negotiations of 1% local option sales tax. I want to thank all the commissioners that took time out of their day to be here today, and we will move forward. Chairman O'Quinn is joining us by Teams this morning, and I believe Commissioner Harris is also joining us by Teams this morning. Again, thank you for coming, and we will open this up in just a few minutes. Mayor Johnson, I know that you want to also say good morning. So
yes, no, good morning to everyone. Thank you to the county commissioners for all of your work. Thank you to city and county staff for all that you've done to put this together. We are happy to be entering into these negotiations knowing that we are going to do the hard work to not only build a community for the future, but build a Brunswick that is focused on the future. And that future of Brunswick has to be deeply rooted into pouring not only into our people, but building a city that they can be proud of. And building a city that they can be proud of is first built on rebuilding some derelict and dilapidated infrastructure, and we plan on focusing on that, focusing on our stormwater needs, and working with the county to envision what a growing business and growing community looks like inside of the city. We are thankful for the negotiations that we have had up until now, been able to sit down and have open conversations and just talk about what we want our community to look like, and we've been thankful for that. So thank you.
Yes, sir. And I would echo those comments. The city and the county have worked hard to build a great relationship. We see no reason why that will not continue. So thank you for that. At this point, we'll go into a little background history on LOST negotiations, and Attorney Mumford, if you will.
Good morning. For all those that don't know me, Aaron Mumford, County Attorney. Pleasure to be here this morning to present a timeline and kind of a steps forward process on how this process works legally. This process is set forth by state law, so the handout I'm giving you does track that accordingly. This will be Glenn County and the City of Brunswick's 5th negotiation, dating back to 1979. We had one in 1995, 2002, 2012, and now 2022. It does track the census, so this is based on the 2020 census, and this process follows that. I think everyone now has their handout, so I'll kind of go down this list. So as our Vice Chairman Neal pointed out, this is the local option sales tax negotiated every 10 years. Our current 10-year certificate expires at the end of this year, December 31st. And state law requires that the county call for negotiations or renegotiations to begin no later than June 30th of this year. So that is the letter that the chairman of the county commission sent out to the city commission a week or two ago. Officially, negotiations started on the 28th, 2 days ago. So what we have to do is we have to come up with a new certificate that is good for the next 10 years. So that'll take us through 2032, pretty far out, but it'll get here. In 2012, I didn't think 2022 would get here, and here we are. But we have to provide a brand new certificate to the state no later than December 30th of this year, or the tax will expire and will not renew on January 1st. After that point, then a referendum has to be put on the ballot for the voters to approve a new loss. So it's very important that the city and county are able to negotiate a new certificate and have it submitted to the state no later than December 30th of this year. Now that the negotiations have begun, there's a 60-day period in which the county and city have the ability to negotiate. If we are unable to negotiate a split in the next 60 days, then the state law requires that the county and city enter into mandatory but non-binding mediation. And that's a process, for those that may have not gone through that process yet, is simply you'll hire an agreed-upon neutral to help negotiate the split. But that neutral cannot dictate, they cannot tell you how that split's going to be. They just help facilitate that process in hopes that the county and the city can reach a negotiated split from that point. I'll say if, but when the county and the city are able to negotiate the new split, that new percentage will go into effect on January 1st of 2023. And then that split will be in effect for the next 10 years, unless the city and county get together earlier and renegotiate a split that's different. If we can't come up with a split, and I mentioned earlier, or cannot come up with a new agreement, then it'll absolutely terminate at the end of this year on December 31st, 2022. Going back, I was part of the 2012 negotiations. Your city attorney was actually in our office, so he's very familiar with the process, and certainly look forward to working with him as well during the process. A little bit of a wrinkle that we have to probably unpeel later on is that as part of the 2012 negotiations, and I mentioned this earlier, is that the percentage split was predicated on an IGA the county and city entered into, where the county took over upon agreement with the city rec, city animal control, and city traffic signal maintenance. So those three items don't necessarily have to be part of a new negotiation, but they are something that's going to have to be dealt with before the end of the year. That is tied to the 10 years, and that will also expire at the end of this year. So those three services will have to be worked out and worked through, depending on how the city and county commission want to work through those. That's the end of my presentation. If there's any questions about the timeline, the process, I'm happy to answer them. But that concludes my presentation this morning.
Okay. Any comments at this point? Any questions for Attorney Mumford? If not, we'll open up the floor for comments from the county and city commissioners to take this time to express your feelings and whatever you would like to say at this time. So, floor is open.
Well, let's see. This thing hot? Yeah, it is. Well, I suffice it to say, I think that the majority of us are in uncharted waters. Commissioner Casey and the county and city attorneys were, I guess, the only ones that were privy to the negotiations 10 years ago. And I'm sorry, Kev, you were here. I'm sorry, I forgot.
Something like, just like
Yeah, all the old people. Yeah, old people. You know, 10 years is an awful long time, and you're not only encumbering this commission, you're encumbering future commissions, and so it is a sobering task before us, and I think it's imperative that we get it right. So that's all I got to say.
Thank you. Commissioner Wilson.
Wayne, I'd just like to say that we appreciate being here, really do, and this opportunity very much. We appreciated it 10 years ago. One of the things that I would like to remind folks of is that 10 years is a long time. And 10 years has a lot of changes in it. It really does. There's lots of things going on out there that were not here 10 years ago. Things are different. And we need to take all of that into consideration while we're here negotiating how we're going to do such an important task for our community. We need to put a lot of deliberation into this thing. We need to put a lot of thought on both sides. And do remember, 10 years is a long time, and lots of things have changed. Lots of things have changed since the last negotiations. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Casey.
You bet.
This is going going to be a short meeting. Are there any other comments?
Sure, you can always count on me for a few.
You can tell the PA, whatever our IT has made great improvements because you can actually hear in this room today. And so thank you, IT department, for that. And Mr. Fendick?
Well, I think some things need to be said for the occurrence and direction everything's been going for the last 10 years. Having the privilege to sit back in this office and have these discussions once again. When we got together 10 years ago, one of the focuses of any community and any governmental body is public safety. And out of that at that time was an effort and a discussion to create the 911 center and combine it. The city used to have their call service and the county had theirs. And I think that's been a very effective component that came out of those discussions to create that joint 911. Public safety is still an issue, and I think that, today, yes, we all struggle with staffing, pay compensation, but I'd just go back to being honest with my fellow commissioners that policing in the city continues to be a problem. We had talked about consolidation of safety, public safety things that didn't work out. We looked at fire and we looked at police, and governmental bodies, rightfully so, elected officials feel very territorial. Those discussions didn't work out, but over the last 10 years, I see that still as one of the crucial weaknesses that the city struggles with. I'm not saying it's mismanagement, I'm not saying anything, it's just a record that staffing, before we had staffing problems, so over the last 10 years, as I look back, that policing is an issue. I think that, the census has shown that population has exploded in the rest of the county, and the city is still struggling with drawing in population. And I think public safety has a lot to do with that. People want to live where it's safe, feel safe, walk their neighborhoods are safe, and I think that's been a real concern for the citizens within, because I served at large last time, so, I have more contact and dealings with city folks. So I'd like to hear some commitments from my counterparts here that, a loss creates an unencumbered fund for additional funding. It's not designated like a SPLOST. It's unencumbered. It's a benefit. I want to hear about some efforts from both sides of this table to help policing and crimes and a threat to the public safety. Just another thing that I'm just talking about is the recreation department. The city handed off at the request last time when I was on the commission to take over the recreation department. And so the county has done that, and I understand that, there's been some conversation going back and forth to take that back over. Just think that plan needs to be looked at real carefully and well. Sort of like 911, I think joint participation in recreation is important. I think these other commissions know that my family came originally here to Brunswick, not St. Simons, and grew their life out of Main Street right here. So I have a lot of care and concern. I think I spoke loudly on that when the middle school was being considered closed down and moved out of the city. I didn't want that, so we were able to work out some swaps of property that, with the school, with the county, and we got some good housing developments done, and the school, middle school stayed in Brunswick. So, you know, we'll have to look carefully at those things. The city took back its tax office operation, you know, and I think that, I don't know, there's, you know, where we once had some accountability out of the tax office. I presume that's been going efficiency. You have to operate your tax office within the law of the state, but, you know, when we talk about services that have gone back and forth, and are the citizens getting the efficiencies? Another thing that I look over the 10 years is code enforcement and blight. The city has done I think, a poor job of cleaning up the blight. And I understand that we, and I'm very compassionate to not a wealthy population that resides in the city. You've got populations of older folks who are retired. I mean, this World War II was a city population of 50,000 people, and it had a thriving community. And after the war, Brunswick has struggled between port developments and, you know, trying to get things going. So these are just things that I'm just pointing out, that if there's going to be an allocation and a split of funding, and that's an arbitrary fit between us all, is that we have some honest discussions about the best things that our taxpayers can receive cooperatively out of this effort. So anyway, I just challenge my fellow commissioners to look at the record of the last 10 years and what's been happening, where we're going. We're always upbeat, positive. You know, the Gateway Conference Center didn't come through. The original plan got diverted, and then, you know, as commissioner, I came on and challenged this city that it was time to move on from that project, and we did together, and I think that was the right decision. So I just, for making a 10-year agreement, I hope this body's, these joint bodies will really talk honestly, not demographically, which is territorially type of thing, the city and the county. I, again, point out that last time I served also that our commission, and I'm pointing out how we also work with the city and for the city, is where Home Depot, where Lowe's and all of that area out there, that was in county property, and we agreed to shift that tax base, which has been very valuable, over to the city. So I'm not here to negate anything on the city. I'm just saying that this is an opportunity for the next 10 years for this body to set a good direction for the use of this money. So I've said it. Thank you.
I guess I'll chime in now. Let me start out by saying this is the, on the county side, this is the first time I think I felt that we had the highest number of not just supportive of the city commissioners, but pro-city. There's a difference in being just supportive and then being pro-city. I think some of the new commissioners brought in energy, and I found them to be.
Commissioner Booker, we're having a hard time. Come closer to the mic.
Okay, well, I'll take this off. I think it's.
I didn't want to ask you to do that, but I'm having a hard time hearing.
But I was making a point that this is the first time that I felt that we had a higher number of pro-city county commissioners versus supportive. The counties, I think, has always been supportive, but it's a difference in being supportive and being pro-city. And I think that there's a genuine concern about developing the city to make it economically sound and a great place to live. And while we do have a lot of challenges, it is a great place to live. And we have challenges with the police department at this time, but most of us still feel safe to live in the city. So I don't know if I would suggest that people are not moving to the city because of that it's not, they feel like it's not safe. I think it's because the housing options that they have. And the county's been able to provide more newer construction. And obviously, they want to be closer to jobs. County's been able to provide that. And I think that the city's looking at some things that are going to change how folk see the city. And again, I think that we have county commissioners that are pro-city, so that's a great combination. And hopefully we'll come out of this negotiation proving that to the public. The other thing is recreation, which is one of the reasons why I decided, after being asked to run, to actually run for office. Our children, and I push for the city not to give away recreation. I was at the meetings and talking with the commissioners and arguing with some of them before I ever even thought about running. But our children, because many they cannot get out to North Glen for practice, for anything, even the games at times. I had a lady come to me. She sent her child in a cab. She couldn't afford to go, but she sent a child in a cab, and she couldn't do that on a regular basis. And so, which is why I was pushing for us to kind of amend the lost agreement. And I think we had the commissioners at the time, I think they made a fair offer, but I believe the city got some bad information from the then leadership, staff leadership, and they did not accept that. So we were able to I think, come to an agreement about recreation coming back to the city a lot sooner. And the county staff has been great with this situation. But they cannot provide, this is a neighborhood park, and kids can walk there. The coaches can pick them up on the way there. And parents can get there. And so we really need to look at how do we facilitate the city taking that back over, I believe. And the city did some things the county is just not equipped to do without us exploding our budget. And that was the dedicated staff the city had. They would go to schools to follow up with these children because many of them were raised by grandparents. And they were working on Sea Island, and they couldn't get to conferences and if something happened. But that was the dedication of the city staff, which also helped produce quite a few pro athletes that are now coming back to give to the city program. So it was an investment beyond their regular duties that is paying off now for the children. So we have to look at that. The other thing is, with animal control and traffic maintenance, the county's doing a great job with that, I think. Animal control, we know we've had some issues around that, but I think that's something that the county still needs to lead on, as well as the traffic maintenance. But I feel like this group can do it. I have a good feeling about it. I hope you all prove me right. But that's my 2 cents.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Booker.
I'd just like to make a comment. for the record in terms of the city's condition right now. With all due respect to Commissioner Fendig, the city at this point is very strong financially. 10 years ago, we had less than $100,000 in our fund balances. Today, we have almost 6 months of activity, and that's after being reduced on the lost by 8% in the last negotiation. As a matter of fact, we looked at the numbers, and as of 2021 was when the city actually came back to the level of lost revenue that we had in 2010. And even with that, our fund balance has gained and is very strong at this point. We've solidified our retirement system, which at the time was less than 30% funded. We've gone through, and the tax collection, it's averaged 97 to 99% collection. Of course, yes, I agree. We have blighted properties in our communities, but we've also suffered through 2 hurricanes during that time. And we have programs now where we're just now getting to rehabilitation and rehab of some of those properties. Of course, that, doesn't negate the condition of some of the inventory of housing in the city, but that's something that we're strongly focusing on. No one can refute the revitalization of downtown, and this has been done all during the time that the city, was recovering revenue from the lost over that 10-year period. Talking about the public safety, of course, I left a conference this week. Every city in Georgia is struggling regarding public safety. There's been a change and a shift in, personnel, in how we recruit, and who wants to be in public safety. I'm not going to even talk about the county's woes in terms of the county police department. But the city's department, yes, we are struggling right now at our staffing, but that's basically, something that every city right now is challenged with. So I think in looking at where we are, the city has overcome a lot of the things that were plaguing us 10 years ago, despite the loss of revenue that we, endured during the negotiation. And I'm not saying that that was wrong or incorrect or anything like that, but we did lose a substantial amount of lost revenue. And even during that time, we're able to revitalize and recoup our situation. The convention center issue, yes, that was something capital-wise that we had to make a decision on, but I think it was a good fiscal decision and that was not, an easy decision. And the city commission took that and made that hard decision because they felt fiscally that was the right decision to make. So in essence, in my opinion, I just wanted, like I said, for the record, to know that we have gone through a lot of challenges over the 10 years, but I think we are at the top of our game right now. So thank you.
I will comment back for the record. Regina, I think you're the best thing that's happened to the city of Brunswick. And I am glad you're here, and I'm confident of you being here, there is hope working with all of us.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Commissioner, if I could, there's a few things that I'd like to talk about, as the mayor of the city. First off, the notion that the county allowed property to be moved into the city. The developers of Glen Isles own the property located in the county immediately adjacent to the bulk of the project site that was in the city. They petitioned the city to incorporate it as they wanted the entire project within the single governmental district. So that wasn't something the county allowed. That was something that the developer, the business owner wanted to be inside of the city jurisdiction and made that the will of the people. The second thing is, while I hear us talk about, crime and safety, I want us to bifurcate staffing numbers and us doing the work to fully staff our offices from safety. Safety in Brunswick over the past 10 years, we have become an enormously more safe community. Our crime rate has dropped every year over that time. So I think Brunswick is outstandingly an example of what it means to be more efficient and to do more with less. And I have to give credit to Chief Jones and our officers, because even with the staffing levels that we have, they have worked overwhelmingly to make sure we have a safe community. The second thing is, I agree that we have to start thinking about what recruiting safety officials looks like. That's why the city has already passed a first responders package where we have dedicated a $4 raise to police, $2.80 raise to fire, which equates to, I think, a $3 raise really on paper. We have paid a $150 stipend to police and fire for them to live inside the city so we can grow community public servants. So those are the things that the city has done before we even entered this loss negotiation to pour into our public safety, but to even more pour into those who we want to live in our community. When we talk about city participation in the rec department, we're just going to deal with numbers here. The last time the city had a rec department, it had hundreds of kids inside of that rec department. When we look at our roles for what the city now covers for city kids to go be a part of the county rec, those numbers are well under 100. So the participation of city children in the rec department has dropped. And that's not on account of anything the county has done. I think that's on account of several things. But the number one thing being that there is a major travel barrier for a child who is growing up in McIntyre Court to get to North Glen to go play football or what have you. So while we, respect the decision of that commission 10 years ago in that space, what we want to do is echo the great work not only of the commissioners who have been here, like Mayor Pro Tem Harris, Commissioner Martin, Commissioner Kaysen, and the like, but also highlight ways that we can build out truly a Brunswick that is focused on the future, and a Brunswick that not only pours into our city residents, but a Brunswick that is open and safe for our county residents. When I think about us redeveloping and reimagining our Parks and Rec department, when we reimagine and rebuild Howard Coffin Park, I guarantee you there are going to be a lot more people from the island using Howard Coffin Park than use North Glen. So we have to start thinking not about Brunswick versus the county, or what Brunswick should do versus what the county should do. We have to start thinking about ourselves as a holistic community. And that doesn't mean merging services. That means us talking about how we can grow a community that strengthens every part of our city and county.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you, Ms. McDuffie. Excuse me.
I think that's
Commissioner Harris.
Yes, Commissioner Harris. Yes.
Okay, good morning. The county commissioner that are currently sick, thank you for.
Commissioner Harris, you're breaking up. I'm not sure how your mic is working right now. Try one more time.
Is it from the? Is that better?
I think it's your signal, and the last three words came through clear. So let's try again.
Okay. Is that better?
I'm not sure. Keep trying.
Okay. I feel each did it for your willingness to and partner with it. Association are about, and I Finley, because the first thing in the statement was consolidation. We're not seated at this table this morning to be discussing consolidation. I will be the first to let you know that consolidation is nowhere near my mind. And I will never surrender to it. I will always fight for the city's and so when you address the short, if you see it of the city, when you're pointing out police department, when you're pointing out recreation, occupation, that light, put those things to be stepping stone for us leading the consolidation. If we point out the entity that's seated today, we hear all because the county department suffers from personnel, just as the city personnel. So today is about trying to identify spotlight or the shortage or negative about in this discussion how we can cause the state of Brunswick and to continue and prosperous. The city, as we sit here, type of conversation, there is been representative of apples to them, and there is with this smoke perception that Orville City needs a big, wonderful county. And this isn't what, this is a discussion to discuss and continue partner of in helping the city. We can here and point out lighting. I sit on the left, but I know that the county is here of light. I'm a county resident. I mean, so I'm not on, but I ride through the entire county. And so there are areas in the county that are considered in all of these areas that are being spotlighted for negative influence out there. And so, but we're to discuss that. We're here to discuss the residents and as effective the lifestyles of our citizens to be better, build a better output. And so the nation, for me, remove it from the table, remove the thought process, because I would never consider consolidating. And so at the best that are being called are citizens. And so we can the net on the mayor, the county, the city, and they're very, but we need not to try to, I'm not blaming it's not anything to blame the city on. There's nothing to blame. These are just national problems that this your nation these shortage. And let's move on from that and partner together to cause entity here to serve its residents.
Commissioner Harris, thank you. And we got most of that, I believe. But let me assure you, Glenn County is not talking consolidation either. It is not on the table for us. And I want to acknowledge that we recognize what the city of Brunswick has done in this past decade toward moving forward to a better, brighter future. And we acknowledge all of you that have worked hard in the past to bring Brunswick to where it is today, and we're so thankful to you for that, and we look very much forward to working with you in the future. Chairman O'Quinn, is there any comment that you would like to add before we move to our county manager and city manager comments?
No, sir, thank you.
I think that was, yeah.
All right. So I think we're good then to move, Mr. Fallon, our county manager, if you would make your comments.
Okay, good morning, everybody, and you know, just to piggyback on some of the comments that were made earlier, I feel in my 7 weeks here in my position that the partnership with the city is strong, and I do believe what Commissioner Booker said. What I've seen is a county, not only the commissioners, but staff that are pro-city. And so we want to continue that partnership. We want to see that continue to grow. 10 years is a long time, and so we want to make sure that we make good decisions here in the next few months that will keep that partnership strong, and that's our commitment there. So as far as next steps go, so City Manager McDuffie and I will get together, as we have. We've met several times, but we'll talk about next steps. We'll talk about the small group discussions that we're going to have moving forward, and hopefully be able to start that next week. But I do want to pull it back. So within LOST, there are 8 criteria that we need to focus on. So we're going to focus on those 8 criteria, which mostly surround services. And so we have a pretty strict playbook that we have to go by. And so that's going to be the path moving forward, focusing on those criteria and those discussions. And truly, I'm looking forward to it. So I'll turn it over now to City Manager McDuffie if she has anything to add.
The only thing, we will be, as Mr. Fallon stated, having some small group meetings and regular meetings until we can determine how many meetings. Of course, we do have that 60-day window, so this is something that will be, intensified over the next 2 months. The only thing I have was just to say we will be sending out communications regarding those meetings and time changes, or we may have some time changes. I think something was sent out earlier, but we may just have some time changes with those. But we'll certainly send those notifications out early enough where we can schedule those meetings properly.
Yeah, thank you, Regina. What I'll do is I'll send out a new invitation to those that were included in the original.
Oh, yes, Ms. Martin.
Yeah, I just wanted a quick opportunity, and I'll be brief. Just thank you, Mr. Fallon, for your comments. I think it's great that we've got some fresh folks on board this time for our loss negotiations. And I think, too, that the primary thing we need to keep in the forefront is focus on a vision, a common vision for our community as we look ahead 10 years. I think the growth that the city's had over the last 10 years hasn't fully been realized based on some of the downtown revitalization that's gone on. I don't think those numbers have quite caught up yet. I'm very proud to be a third-term commissioner on the city side. I think that as a commission, we worked very hard during the recession years to set the stage for redevelopment as we came out of that recession. We put a lot of focus on how to incentivize revitalization. Folks coming in, buying some of the older vacant buildings downtown with full renovation projects. We need to be preparing for that growth. We're always going to have infrastructure needs. always, never goes away. We will always have infrastructure needs, but I think we need to each decide what our vision and our focus is and work towards that so that we're not pulling up short of what we really need to be setting the stage for as a community. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Any other comments before we'll close this out this morning? Then I'd like to take this opportunity again to thank everyone for coming, for sitting at this table, for being willing to work through the work that is lying before us, and I look forward to it. I know that we'll continue in that same cooperation that we've developed, and with that, I'll say goodbye, and Mayor, I'll leave it to you to close today.
Well, I just want to say thank you to the county officials. This conversation continues to be a robust one, and one that I know we're all coming to the table with the best thought for our community, and it's a blessing to share the table with you, and we're just ready to get to work. So thank you, commissioners.
All right, thank you. And,
I'd like to say one thing. I want to thank all you folks over here for everything you've done, services you provide, you come from the county. And number one right now is mosquito control. Please keep it up.
all right. Yeah, I got a call about that this morning.
And I commend you.
All right, thank you, sir. And with that, we'll stand adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.